Welcome to the Faction Turn. It is our monthly opportunity to sit down and move around imaginary objects in space. And I got to tell you, prior to today's Faction Turn, I was sitting here in my chair like I do during the little run up, listening to the music, talking in chat, and I was thinking about how we've really done a lot of cool stuff using the tools that Kevin gave us. The Faction Turn is a really neat little piece of game design artifice. And I was sitting down and I was looking at the 30 something pages of rules adjustments we've made. I was thinking about some of the work the Mechanisms Council has done this month and last month, and some of the stuff that we're looking forward to for kind of next year's version of the turn with all the goals and stuff. I've been talking to a lot of different faction reps about their hopes and dreams for what a goals system might look like. And I think that by the time we get this goals system in play, we play it out and we get a little testing under the belt, it wouldn't be too bad of an idea to lay some of this stuff out and put out a PDF. Now, I can only imagine we would want to either do it, and I'm just spitballing here, but we would want to do it either for free, right? Basically like a pay nothing, like PDF, or do it for a charity thing where we just people can pay $5 or whatever and we raise money for a charity. We could pick a cool space charity, right? That might be fun. What do we think? What's the SETI? Do we like SETI? Who likes aliens? That'd be really cool, right? If we did something like that. So yeah, I would happily donate my part of the effort. I imagine some of y'all would too, but yeah, if we put together a community built rules adaptation of what we've done so far, maybe something to do next year. Yeah, that'd be kind of fun. And just be here you go, everybody. Here's the Far Verona community presents the advanced faction turn, right? With all of the little details we've worked out. And yeah, I think that'd be a really cool little project. So yeah, something that I've been thinking about. And honestly, just it comes from looking at all the hard work everybody's been doing and how much we've bent the game to fit our purpose and how much we've changed our play to fit the game. It's very cool. I think this is a really great little project, and I think we could do something neat with it. But that was just what I was thinking about. I love looking back at the 16, 17 months now we've been playing this game together and all the cool stuff that we've built. And I'm going to talk a little bit at the end of the turn like I usually do in my little what's going on roundup, where I talk to you about kind of what I've been doing and what's coming up for the next month. I have a couple of new things to add to the turn, and this is kind of what got me thinking about it. And we're going to talk at the end of the session about the changes to the setting as the result of the High Church retiring. So we'll talk a little bit about that as well. I also have some XP to hand out for some secret stuff, and we'll go from there. So I guess this is the part where I do the little preamble about hey, if you've never seen one of these streams before, this is turn number 16 in a many, many months effort of a group of several hundred players working together to create essentially a space diplomacy game tied to a role-playing game. We're picking up with new episodes of Far Verona again, and it's been really fun for me. And I talked about this a little bit during, I think, either the post show or maybe the pre-show of the most recent episode number 5, if you're watching this, episode 5, season 2, if you're watching this asynchronously. But I love when stuff happens in the faction turn and I'm in the middle of doing something on that planet, and now, okay, and now it's great. So the Crux sabotage team that I was going to use, now they're a Seraph sabotage team. And so I have to adjust, and it's really fun for me, getting to build stuff for the faction turn and working with you as faction representatives and players, and building all of that stuff together. And then as a GM, the real purpose of this whole faction turn is to create an interesting universe where stuff is going on. And I love seeing what's going on in Yakia affect the turn. And it's going to be nice, or affect the game itself. And it's going to be nice getting back into it and kind of like building more moment to moment stuff, because obviously we've been kind of on hiatus with the live show for a while. Oh, something else that'd be cool to include in the Far Verona fan supplement PDF thing would be there's a great table one of the faction folks did where it's, and I'm sorry I can't credit you directly, but I have a spreadsheet in my drive that is all of the Stars Without Number weapons and gear, like armor and weapons and stuff, converted into Genesis. That's something that was like a fan-made effort. We've got some new weapons, and as we make like vehicles and stuff for Genesis, maybe that's part 2, right? Maybe we have the Verona Genesis adaptation where we adapt all of that stuff. But yeah, again, just like boggled by your community interaction. It's really cool. Zolan, I'll try to get that spreadsheet put up on the wiki. If you're listening to this and you're like, wait a second, my faction made that spreadsheet. Get at me. I'll dig it up, but I'd love to put it on the wiki. I think it'd be super useful for other GMs that are playing Stars Without Number or Genesis like we are. Anybody that wants to do the thing. That was Alexi. Okay, awesome. Yeah, Lucianos, if you can reach out to me and just reach out to them about it and be like, yo, let's get it on the wiki. Let's make that happen. Anyhow, if you are just tuning into this for the first time, we're going to go through each of the factions of the Verona universe and see what they get up to in this turn. This is turn number 16. As always, you can participate in the faction turn. You can get involved. You can make yourself a character. You can make lore. You can participate in the mechanical stuff by going to RollPlay on Patreon. So patreon.com/rollplay and signing up for any number, any value will get you a ticket into the Discord server. And that is your gateway into faction stuff. So we'll talk a little bit at the end of the turn about kind of what's coming up in the next month. We'll do our patch notes. But for now, I have some orders to process. So let's do it. Let's do it. All right. So I've already got everything sort of cooking show laid out here. I've got all of our our factions. We have the August turn right here, and I have them in order. So starting us off today is the Prism Network. So the Prism Network, they are turn number 1 in our order here. So I'm gonna go ahead and start updating for them, and away we go. So let's see. All right, let's give them their credits here. So they've got 11 to start off with. The Prism folks are working on another Peaceable Kingdom, which is cool. So we've got another 11. They get an income of 10. There we go. So that puts them up to 21. There we are. Okay. And they're going to take the buy asset action this turn. So let's go ahead and type that in here. So buy asset. And they are going to, oh yeah, and I have, for this turn, a couple of factions have sent me MP3s to play. I have a video to show you, and we have some cool art to show off. So make sure you stick around for the whole thing. Okay, so buy asset. They're going to buy marketers on AeroPay on Planet Echo. And that costs them 10 faction credits. Bring them down to 11. Okay, so let's go and charge that out. So they're down to 11 now. We're going to go to the asset tracker. So much going on this turn. And we are going to give them, here we go, Prism Network, marketers on Echo. Okay, great. Perfect. Okay, Prism Network has their new marketers on Echo. And their Peaceable Kingdom advances by 1. So end of next turn, you're going to get your XP, Prism Network, for doing Peaceable Kingdom. And in the meantime, I have a announcement to read for you for Prism. So, in its first quarter earnings call, the Prism Network reported its highest net profit since the Cygnus War. When asked about the upturn, executive editor Santoni adds, thank the calming influence of Emperor Solanum and the success of the company's 5 Pillars of Prosperity initiative. That's the end of the 10 o'clock news, but stay tuned for the mid-season finale of Surf's Up. Will Jaina save the Crab Shack? Can Savid reunite with his husband? Whose trust will the retired navigator betray to escape the special agent's locked room? Find out more just after this. Okay, so Prism, every time you invent a fake TV show or something for the, I mean, it's real in the universe. Every time you invent one of those, it gives me more good shit to put on in the background of scenes. I cannot wait. I love this stuff. And if you've watched me GM really much at all, you know that I love doing this, like information through background stuff. So guaranteed there'll be some kind of like Surf's Up thing in a future episode. I love it. This kind of little setting detail. Like if I created a sci-fi world, what would the TV shows in that world be like? That kind of ambient media. Oof. So good. So good. I love it. So thank you for that. Just from me. Okay. Next up, Seraph. Seraph and I had a really, I say as if Seraph is a person. Seraph, the faction, and I had a really good conversation earlier this month about some plans and stuff that they're working on in the universe, which was really cool. I managed to get in maybe like 2 or 3 of these little calls in between sessions. So I've been sitting down with the factions for, an hour and a bit. Every couple of months, we'll do little sit downs with various factions and just talk about their plans and answer questions. And they're really good for me. I've come out of every single one just like really charged up about kind of what's going on, what's been percolating for them. So if you're hearing me say this and your faction has like a bunch of little things that you've been wanting to chat about, get at me, because I make time every month to sit down with the factions. So yeah, have your rep come to me if you want to have one of these little meetings. I try to schedule a few of them each month. And yeah, man with a mic, each faction is run by a specific, it's repped by a specific person and then made up of anywhere between a dozen and 100, maybe more, individual members, some of which participate in the turn actively, some of which write lore, others just hang out. But yeah, everybody who's a patron for roleplay is allowed to join up and participate in whatever way feels best for them. So yeah. All right. So Seraph, we had a conversation, and now this is their turn. So they're going to get some money, which they are entitled to, like everybody else. They start with 8 credits. They're going to get another 7, bring them up to 15. And then Seraph, let's see here. You're going to also buy an asset. Okay, cool. So that's your action for this turn. Buy asset. And you're going to buy, here's your, anyone who's waiting for a party machine. Here we go. Here we are. Okay, so buying a party machine, that's going to cost them 8 credits. 8 fat credits. There we go. Okay, and that's going to be on Cabina. So lots of people buying at home today. All right. Party machine on Cabina. There we go. Okay. So let's go and place that for you. Seraph. Party machine on Cabina. There we go. Okay. Excellent. So, and actually it occurred to me I should be setting these when we add new assets just for the rest of the turn. I should be setting them as yellow because they have summoning sickness or whatever. But anyway, so there you go. Seraph's got their party machine, and Seraph has requested that I change their relationship with the PCs to friendly, which is good. I was saying to Seraph that I feel like they are like Crux gets to retain their like bad guy status. So they get to stay, they'll stay in the spotlight and retain their bad guy status, but we're starting to need friends, right? We're starting to need friends for the PCs. So it's cool that Seraph is sort of stepping up to be like, yeah, we're friendly. We want to work with the PCs. Cause like, of course, right? Like that's part of their jam. Seraph relatively recently rebranded to Survive, and they're operating much more like Underground, which is neat. I think it'll give us some neat things to play with when we do the turn. So let's see. I do have an announcement from Seraph as well before we move on to our next turn. So Seraph would like me to read the following. This month, Seraph joins the Cabinan government in sponsoring this year's celebration of Lux Gravare Founding Day. This annual event began many years ago as a tribute to the fortitude of Cabina's first permanent settlers, who began the long work of biosphere restoration and who committed to a peaceful coexistence with the planet's native Cabin aliens. Festivities are predicted to stretch well over a week as Cabina celebrates and affirms its heritage. Its heritage as a planet of immigrants and refugees. Individuals from across the sector are invited to the capital to witness plays, festivals, food, art, Cabin curiosities, and achievements from the diverse and varied communities across Cabina, both old and new. That seems cool. Lux Gravari. I'd go there. I'd go and check that shit out. I mean, you know, I hear they got aliens on that planet. That's weird and cool. All right. Thank you, Seraph. All right. So they got their new party machine, and their party machine is putting on a celebration. Okay. Who is up next? I think. Oh, thank you, Crypt Keeper. There we go. Let me unfloat. Bye. There we go. Okay. The party machine's putting on a party. Okay. House Lyra, you are up next. So House Lyra, you're going to get 4 credits, I believe. Yep. So 22. They are, let's see, they're going to take the Seize Planet action. Okay, so Seize Planet, and they're going to seize Phymeat 8. Phymeat 8, okay. There we go. Okay, so they're seizing Phymeat 8. And they are also going to move their smugglers. Okay, so let's see. They're moving the smugglers from Tiber to Demnoth. All right, Lyra, what you got? House Lyra. There we go. Okay. So smugglers from Tiber to Demnoth. Okay, there we go. Okay, so yeah, heading off to Demnoth, moving those smugglers. I wonder, what would smugglers bring from Tiber to Demnoth? What would be like, because if you're a smuggler, you have to constantly have cargo. So what kind of thing would be smuggled from Tiber to Demnoth? Or maybe the cargo is on its way somewhere else and is just stopping in Demnoth for now. Yeah. Okay, so they leave and they head over there, and then that takes 1 faction credit, bringing House Lyra to 21. Okay, all right, so before we move on to House Serpens and our first video, first multimedia, I will read you. It would not be a House Lyra turn. We wouldn't get through this turn for House Lyra without a poem. So, who do you think we are, Acheron Row? Are we the shadows that shirk from the light? Are we despair that seeks to silence the happy days? Are we merely the background soundtrack to the acts of others? Is that who we are? Is it all we can be? Is our fate already decided for us? Once upon a time, we would agree. That is what we are. Today, that ends. We no longer live in the past. Idle admiration no longer leaves us content. No more sadness and gloom. No more secrets. We are no longer them. Time has passed and we have regained what was lost. We move forward. So we ask you again. And this time, think on the answer. Who do you think we are, Acheron Row? I like it. Yeah. It's like we're taking a step back. The time of mourning might have ended, right? Like it was things were very bad, and then things were pretty bad, and now things are better. So like, what does House Lyra in a time of peace look like when they can turn away from having to be like, everything is sad and sucks and we are mourning? So yeah, that's quite cool. I like it. Yeah, lots of big changes in terms of the sort of tone of the factions. Good. Thank you, Lyra. All right. So next up is House Serpens. And they have a new goal. Oh, and I got to make Lyra. They're in the middle of seizure. Can I spell this without? There we go. one of 3. There we go. And then set them to red because they are in the midst of a planetary seizure. Okay, there we go. Cool. So anyway, Serpens, they are taking a new goal, which is going to be expand influence. There we go. Okay. So they're going to take expand influence. And I imagine you can guess what their goal is going to be for this turn. So this costs, smugglers, moving the smugglers cost 1. Yeah, 1 fat cred. So let's give Serpents their money first. Bring them up to 14. There we go. And then I'll just paste their turn in here. They're going to place a base of personnel, or a base of influence on Trillia 9 using their hardened personnel. That brings them down to 13. And I'll place that base. Okay. It's Phi-Meat 7. Okay, Phi-Meat 8. There you go. Thank you. I don't actually know, like, I gotta look and see at that system that Phi-Meat is in. Because sometimes the random generator will give you a planet with a number, and there's like less planets in there, right? Where it's like you get like welcome to Phi-Meat 6, and it's like there's only 3 planets in this system. Why is it called that? Okay. So House Serpens, they are building this base on Trillia 9. Yeah, I guess we just lost the other 3. Okay. House Serpens, base of influence with 1 HP on Trillia. There we go. I actually think, and we talked about this way back when we first generated the map. I think that there are, yeah, that's right, only habitable planets. There are other planets in these systems. We just don't really talk about them because they don't really matter. Yeah, they got Plutoed. They're just not that important to us personally from the perspective we're looking at. It's not a clear, like, perfected scientific report. The other planets don't really matter as much, yeah. Okay, and then they complete their expand influence. There's no contest there, and that brings them up to 4 experience. And if you will give me but a moment, I have a cute Serpents video to show you. All right, here we go.
Are you an Imperial citizen looking for a vacation spot, but Kama isn't exactly family-friendly? House Serpents is proud to announce the opening of their next outreach center on Trillia 9. Visit the beautiful beaches of Hawaii, where Serpents precognitive experts are trained to understand exactly what one's ideal vacation is. Hawaii, we know your paradise.
Awesome. So that's what our new base is. It is a psychic. It's like Total Recall, but you just go there and they're like, we already know everything you need. I kind of feel like if you could get over the creepy mind reading part, like going on a House Serpents vacation would actually be pretty sick, because you'd show up and they'd be like, we don't have to ask you what kind of room you want. We know already. Kind of great, actually. Cool. So Trillia 9, on the beaches of Trillia, you can find your dream vacation. Hopefully it doesn't turn into a nightmare. Cool. All right. Democratic Mandate coming up next. So Democratic Mandate, they're going to get some money, and then we are going to undertake the Act of 3201. The Aomori Charitable Trust Act is the name of this turn. So, oh my God, precognitive pizza delivery. Yeah, it shows up 15 minutes before you want it. Exactly. That's so weird. I love it. All right, Democratic Mandate. Let's give you some income. DM. There you go. Okay. So, it says 6, but it's one of those is a party machine that isn't active yet. So you'll get your 5, bring you up to 9. Okay. Now the Democratic Mandate is going to get a tag. They're going to get a new tag at the end of this turn. but we'll talk about that overall. And yeah, I think, did we rule that party machines, passive effects still take place for party machines? So I think you do actually, yeah, they're active on trades. They're exempt from trade sickness. That's right. Yeah, we've done that before. So we'll talk about the tags at the end of the turn. They're going to take on one of the new tags that I approved this turn. So we'll get back to that. So they're going to set their goal as expend influence, and they are going to take their turn. So let's do that. All right. So action, expand influence. Actually, I guess I could keep the set goal in there. Okay. All right. Set goal, expand influence. They're going to do that, and they're going to build a 1 HP base of influence on Aomori, which is interesting. So Aomori, which is the Reticulum homeworld, now has a democratic mandate base of influence on it. There we go. And that cost them 1. And it is placed. Okay. All right. So democratic mandate, you're down to 9 now. You get your experience point. And let me read your statement. So for the democratic mandate, this is what they would like you to know. The democratic mandate cordially invites anyone seeking the planet's highly developed education system to the University for Social, Economic, and Political Thought on Ias. Additionally, the mandate is collaborating with the Office of the Saishu and the Asura to open a USEPT branch on Aomori and offer its economical expertise to reduce travel costs and time. The USEPT is proud to announce the finished construction of the Institute of Practical Research on Man, making use of the planet's special condition to put various social theories to practice. We are not the fire, we are the tide. Democratic mandate. Boom, boom, boom. Give them a little like PBS logo. I feel like of all the factions, democratic mandate is the most likely to have a public access channel. Like Prism just like gave them one, and there, here you go. DM news. Go ahead. Cool. All right. Democratic mandate. That is your turn. And we'll talk about your tag at the end of the turn. So, speaking of Reticulum, House Reticulum is up next. So let's give them their money, which brings them up to 11 for Reticulum. And they are going to buy a party machine on Aomori. Okay. So party machine on Aomori for 8 credits. This brings them down to 3. Also, I'd like to thank whoever's idea it was, well, 1 or 2 turns ago to come up with wet cardboard fizzy cheese. Because as soon as I said wet cardboard flavored fizzy cheese in the live show, I could see everyone just like recoil at the disgust of imagining the mouthfeel of such a thing. It was a nice moment, so thank you for that. I'd try it. It's gonna taste at least vaguely cheese flavored, right? Anyway, House Reticulum, you are going to set your relationship to the player characters as hostile. Excellent. All right. I feel like a hostile Reticulum is a fucking bad thing to have. Okay. Good. Okay, up next is the Trilliant Ring. Speaking of Hawaii, the Trilliant Ring is going to get their money, and they're going to set their goal, and we are going to carry on with their turn here. So 25 plus another 10. So 35, 34, 33. That's me doing math. Okay. All right. So action, expend influence, and they are going to build a base on... Oh, did I not give you your party machine? Democratic mandate? Did I forget to... No, we're fine. Expand. Oh, the base of influence. Yes, that's fine. That happened. And then Reticulum. Oh, it's Reticulum's party machine. That's right. Yeah. There we go. Sorry. Party machine. Thank you. See, this is why I have you around, because I'm juggling a lot of like numbers at once. So thank you for reminding me to make sure I finish the turn before I move on. Here we go. Okay, perfect. So anyway, where were we? Trilliant. Right. Okay. So Trilliant, let's do your turn for you. Okay, 1 fat cred to build a base of influence on Zerkalos. And you set your goal to expend influence, but then you do it, and then you get your XP. So that brings it up to 13. And then next turn, you'll have your seizure ready to finish. Cool, cool. All right, and you should have 31 faction credits, I think, because you're moving your covert intelligence unit, and then we're good. Okay, so to finish off the turn, covert shipping on Nivette activates to move covert intelligence unit on Zerkalos to Trillia 9 at the end of the turn. So let's see. Zerkalos, counter intel unit. Right. So the idea here is you started the seizure and then you're going to move these guys. Okay. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Okay. Trillia 9. And there it is. Okay. Great. Trilliant ring. Do you have a statement? Yeah, you sure do. Okay. All right. So Trilliant ring. This is the continuing renaming issue that we were having last time. While updating the depths of their internal archives on the newly named Vote WinOp 6, the Trilliant Ring was surprised and amazed to discover that it too had an ancestral name stripped from it in the time of chaos between the separation from the Empire proper. While it is regretful the beloved name of Vote WinOp 6 was used for but a short time, the Trilliant Ring is proud to restore the original name of Cabochon to the planet out of loyalty to the Empire and the beacon of hope that is the Emperor. With this being the second discovery of such an important nature, the Trilliant Ring has decided to fund and support a team with the exclusive purpose of finding similar forgotten knowledge which has been lost to time and returning it to the Empire as we return the planets of the Expanse. So, what planet is getting renamed to... What was Vote WinOp 6 last turn? I forget how many they want to rename a planet. I'll check in with Trilliant Ring, but what planet, if we remember what planet it was last time, we can update it. Maybe it's Halve. They own too many planets. You got too many planets, Trilliant Ring. I gotta make a list somewhere of like all the planets everybody says. It was Halve? Okay. Thank you, Mordio. Okay, let's go do that now then, so I don't have to wait. Halve, which sounds like a kind of cheese, is getting renamed Cabochon or Cabocon, which is a kind of cut of gem. Surprise, surprise. Okay, and then in the asset tracker, I will go in and we'll fix it up. If there's even anyone on Halve now. There's one thing on Halve, which is now Cabochon. And then let me just pop open sectors without number. And we will adjust it in the real Acheron row as well. Okay, so Halve, where is that planet? Asher, Intaglio, Marquise. Halve, there we go. So Halve is now called Cabochon. There we go. Okay, great. Perfect. All right, so now let me pop back over and make sure we've done everything else that we need to do. Okay, so 1 HP base of influence on Zerkalos, which I'm pretty sure I did, but I'll double check because God knows my brain is a sieve sometimes. Maybe I just took the money and I didn't do it. Yeah, looks like it. Okay. All right. So base of influence for Trilliant Ring on Zerkalos. Yeah, there you go. Okay, cool. All right. We are good. Next up is House Fornax. So House Fornax, number 8 in the turn. They're gonna move some stuff around. And they're going to take an action, expand influence. Yeah, Trilliant should have, that's right, 30, 31. Yeah, there you go. Okay. So Trilliant, you are done, and Fornax, they're gonna goal expand influence and then take that as their action. So it's uncontested, so I'm gonna go ahead and just give you your XP along with your money. So they get 1 XP because no one's gonna contest this. They have 9 balance to begin with, and they're also gonna make some moves. So we're gonna reduce that down to 6 because they're making 3 moves. Okay, all right. So that means that we've got. That means we've got, they're not going to buy anything. We're just going to move some shit around. So we got to organize this for us. Fornax. There we go. Okay. All right. So Fornax, what are you moving? You're moving commodities broker from Hakani to Aomori. Okay. Commodities broker from Hakani to Aomori. Nope. Stays the same. Not there, Adam. Aomori, okay. And then they are going to move their zealots from Diamicado to Navette. Zealots, House Fornax, where are they? I think it's, no, these are the ones on Maya. These are the ones, here we go, the ones on Dio, okay. From Dio to Navette, perfect, okay. There we go. Navette. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Great. And then they're going to build a 1 HP BOI on Aomori. Okay. Great. Aomori's bumping this turn. Fornax. Base of influence on Aomori. There we go. Okay. Cool. Fornax has one last thing, and it's not an announcement. They are they're setting their relationship to the PCs as fucking hostile, which totally makes sense. All right, so Fornax is officially hostile, KOS to the PCs. Cool. Yeah, I'd like to see how Fornax deals with synths, right? Like, I wonder, like, I guess because we've seen the House Crux teams like hunting them down. But yeah, I imagine they just like bomb them from space. Yeah, lots of fire from space. I'm into it. Okay, all right. So let's see. House Triangulum. Triangulum is up next. So House Triangulum, let's give you your money and we will start in on your turn. So 7, bring you up to 13 for your credits there. There we go. You're going to take the buy asset action this turn. And they're going to buy covert shipping on Echo. Cool. Okay. And that costs 8, bring you down to 5. Okay. Covert shipping. And I have to remember, there's no attacks or anything. This would normally be yellow, but obviously a row can't be multiple colors. So we're just going to leave it. We're going to leave it as is. So cover shipping on house. So it's stealthed and it's on, what do we say that was? Echo. Okay. And there we go. Good. And then they're going to activate their covert shipping on Bora to move the demagogue from Gleipnir to Kama. Wow, I don't know if that is like, for that guy, I don't know if that's I don't know, for that demagogue, I don't know if that's an upgrade. Like, you're moving from the prison planet to the weird alien sex toy planet. I mean, okay, maybe this demagogue is just having the fucking time of their life. Let's move them anyway. So they go from Jelva to Kama. Okay, there we go, Kama. That demagogue was on Kama originally. Yeah, they're going back and forth. They're a busy demagogue, right? So that brings you down to 4 credits. Cool. Okay, now I have Triangulum. I have some more stuff for you, but it's going to be at the end of it's going to be at the end of the turn. You and Crux. We'll talk about that at the end. So, on the edges of the psyche lie the truth of the universe, ever present and palpable, but always out of sight, out of reach. Our role is to grasp that truth, stretch it over the collective consciousness of humanity, and permit them to weep before its honesty. There are truths in this universe that would ravage your mind, drive you into a babbling husk, or shake you into permanent silence. Some are natural, some are humanity's own creation. This is our burden, to learn, to know, and to suffer the horrific truths that permeate this reality. The mind summit of the fourth peak has been reached. It writhes under our scrutiny. Did you, by any chance, House Triangulum, find a forbidden tome somewhere, and maybe you read it out loud, and now your mind is cursed with strange visions of unknown dream realm, perhaps? Have you been thinking about an island at the bottom of the sea somewhere that perhaps a dread god might lie sleeping? I kind of like the idea that Triangulum might just be going crazy. Like that would be a fun arc for your faction, to be like, we're just going to slowly go insane from unknown secrets. Yeah. So, that's great. Let's go with that. If that's actually what's going on. If you're just being weird nerds, that's also good. I can also accept that, House Triangulum. Thank you. Cool. All right. So saith the triangles. Let's take a look at the Confederation of the Upright Vagrant. Vagrant, they are going to begin the seizure of a brand new planet. It's going to be a nice, simple turn for our House of Pirates. So Vagrant, where are you? There you go. So you go up to 7 for your income. And then you are going to begin seizing a planet. There we go. Okay, so the seizure of Argiast. Argiast. What the fuck's going on Argiast? Where even is that planet? I mean, is it down here somewhere? Saurus. There we go. Shackled World. Shackled World with psionics worship. Sick. That's cool. So it's literally their neighbor, right? Oh my god, I didn't just move something, did I? No. Okay. Yeah, it's their neighbor because they live on Shan, and then cool. RGS next door. And it's TL4. It's a useful planet to have. Yeah. Very cool. No, it's the did they get switched? Because Hild should be there. Let me look. I have it on my spreadsheet. They flip. Okay. Yeah. So Hild should be there. Okay, cool. That's what I thought. That's the danger of using these. Yeah, millions died as star systems get hurled through space. No, nothing moved. The map just got rewritten. Remember, drive space is not traveling through. Never mind. I don't want to go into it. I'm done. I don't want to have this conversation. I'm sick of it. That's not how drive space works. All right. So meanwhile, back in the universe, we're going to begin the seizure of Argiast for the Vagrants. So seizure Argiast, 1 of 3. That locks them into a seizure there. And I think that's it. They have a message for you though. So I'll read that for you. Okay. As new prosperity flows into the Hild system, the Confederation of the Upright Vagrant looks to those within who have yet to share in our newfound prosperity. The planet Argiast, long insular and suspicious of the wider sector, suffers under the weight of its isolation. It's past time they be brought back into the fold, so what has been lost may be rebuilt for a stronger and united Hild. Yeah, I like it, right? It makes sense. Like, let's unify the sector, or unify our little system within the sector. Before we start looking elsewhere. Yeah. I like it. Okay. So next up we have House Eridanus. Okay. So Eridanus, you have a lot of stuff to do. And I think this is the end of the seizure of Yakia. Ooh, it is. Cool. All right, so they get plus 10 income. The party machine triggers their tag. So we got to roll mass market economists once first. It looks like they are, yeah, their action is use asset ability. So I'm going to make a note of that. And then also, let's see the tag. So tag activation on party machine, Tiber. Okay. There we go. D6. They get a 2, so it doesn't activate. While I'm here, I'm gonna roll 2 more. No, so none of them activate this turn. Okay. And then they're going to activate pre-tech manufactories on Yakia and Tiber. Okay. So pre-tech manufactory. This is the roll a d6 and I think gain something when you roll 1. Yeah. Oh, it's a d8, gain half as many credits. Okay. All right. So 2d8. Rounded, cut in half, rounded up. So a 1 and a 2. Okay. So they gain 3 credits. 1 plus 2. Okay. Both pre-tech trigger mass market economics. No activation. Okay, so let's go give them their 3 credits. Okay. And then they're gonna use pre-tech logistics on Demnoff to buy. There we go. To buy pre-tech infantry for 10 faction credits because they have their discount from before. Okay, all right. So that's 10 fat creds, brings them down to nice. Nice. I don't know if you planned this, but yeah. Okay, so there we go. And that gives them pre-tech infantry on Demnoff. Or not infantry. Yes, it is infantry. Okay, I was right. Eridanus, pre-tech infantry, Demnoff. Good. Okay. And it can't be used to attack or defend this turn. Use commodities brokers on Demnoff, Yakia, and Lovelace. Nice. Okay. And that is, what do we roll for that? Let's see, Eridanus. That many, it's with D8, right? So 3D8 added together. Let's see how it goes. 3D8, all right. Turns out, ooh, big money. All right, so 20, so discount up to 20 next time. Future discount, 20 fat creds. Very nice. And then they're going to activate their transit web to move some stuff around. So extended theater on Tiber moves the infantry from Demnoff to Yakia. Whoa, Eridanus troops land on Yakia. So for me, all of this stuff is really important because I'd love to House Pixis, if I can bother you a moment, if you're here, if your rep is around. Could I get a statement, maybe a statement between you and House Eridanus about officially giving Yakia to Eridanus? If the Emperor has like officially bequeathed this planet to be run by House Eridanus, give me just like a little short announcement because I'd love to play it. Like, not, you don't have to record it, but I could say it for you. But I want to have it in the background of the next episode. Because I want the players to know that they're on a planet that is officially and distinctly like controlled by the Empire. I want to be able to put the fear of the Emperor in them. right? Maybe hanging up some new Eridanos banners when they get to the spaceport. So yeah, if you and Eridanos want to work on like just a little thing that I can read or say during the stream, that would be really cool. Yeah. Temporary recognition for responsibility. Yeah, that's exactly that. And that's that kind of thing, like a little statement about it. That'd be useful for me if you get around to it. If not, no big deal. I can just make one up myself. Okay. All right. So they're moving this pre-tech infantry to Yakia, which is pretty serious. That's a very serious force unit, right? The cream of the crop of stellar ground forces, elite troops kitted out with the best pre-tech weaponry and armor available. That's a big deal to have those land on Yakia, and the players should be scared, especially the missing Eridanos noble. And then they're going to move their party machine to Demnoth, between Kabina and Demnoth. Okay. So Eridanos party machine that is on Kabina moves to Demnoth, and that's fine. Okay. And that costs them 2 more faction credits. Okay. It doesn't have to be an official bequeathing. I would just love to have like a little statement. Yeah. A little interview or like a statement by the emperor or something. Yeah. Cool. Okay. And then the siege tracker is complete. They are no longer seizing that planet. House Eridanos is House under Eridanos is the controller of Yakia. Excellent. Good work. So you get some XP. Planetary seizure is 1. So that goes up to 13. And Eridanos has an in-character and an out-of-character statement to make. First of all, from Eridanos, and this is the kind of statement that if you get this, like, I imagine that this is broadcast to everyone on Yakia. Like, I imagine that when Eridanos lands their troops, right? Because remember, these troops they're not just House Eridanos. They may be wearing the black and gold of House Eridanos, right? They may look like Imperial Sardaukar, but underneath they are Acre troops, right? Like this is Acre gear, and we've seen the Acre war machine before. So and also Yakia, they have a good like they have a fear of these kinds of troops. So yeah, it's pretty cool. No, Eridanos' colors I think are it's black, right? That's their color. Yeah. I mean, it's a mix. Obviously, Acre doesn't like exist as a faction anymore, but you would be able to recognize Acre's thumbprints on this particular activity. So anyway, speaking of which, I imagine at some point everyone on Yakia gets a notification. Welcome to the machine you were always trying to stop. It consumes everything, even revolution. Become a cog in that Leviathan you hated. Your neighbors, friends, and family will all be happier for it. When push comes to shove, people would rather be safe and provided for than be what you called free. And so the river flows on, making slaves of us all. Everything and everyone in their proper place. Eridanos, now, forever. So Yakia is being taken into account, and I love that Eridanos is not scared to, yeah, right? It's just like, well, here we are. So this would be very ominous for people of Yakia, unless you were an Imperial sympathizer all along, and you were like, hooray, they're saving us. Eridanos is here to rescue us. But for the PCs who are, I mean, the very existence is illegal. They need to be very careful about how things are going. Eridanos would also like me to let you know, and I almost think this is the more authoritarian move. This is an out of character note for everyone. House Eridanos has chosen not to change the name of the planet Yakia because that's its old imperial name. However, going forward, the planet has only one correct adjectival form: Yakian. Yakiyan. So there's only one correct way to spell it. That is the way. Power move by Eridanos. But what's interesting is that if you like, it sounds little and small, but like on Yakia, we made jokes about this, and this happens all the time, where like a little detail or like a little thing that's nudged funny spins out to become evidence of a larger cultural thing. So there are probably, we talked about this, there are probably multiple languages on Ukiah. And what Eridanus is saying is like, this way of spelling is correct. This language is the correct version of Imperial. It would be like if America like adopted Canada as a protectorate and was like, you can still be called Canada, but you have to spell flavor and armor and color properly and gray, and you can't use metric anymore. Right? Yeah. Like you don't think it's a big deal, but changing the way that people spell and say things is a way to like control their culture. It's small, but like language prescriptivism is absolutely a cultural manipulation move. Yeah. So that was very cool. I was very surprised and excited about that, where I was like, oh, good. Yep. Cool. You are in charge. Yeah. Canada uses the metric system. It's yeah. I mean, I don't know how many meters tall I am, but like, yeah. Cool. All right. So let's see what else is going on in the old faction turn. It looks like up next is the House of Crux. So, House Crux, they're going to set a new goal. Let's give you your money, Crux. So you start with 22, go up to 29. Very nice. Okay. And then your new goal is Wealth of Worlds. Good. Okay. They are going to spend 12 credits to complete Wealth of Worlds. Brings them down to 17. Oh, that's right. Yes. Thank you, Sheen. Eridanus, obviously, yes. Eridanus is hostile towards the PCs. They're coming out officially hostile. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Thank you. I did miss that. Okay. So they get 2 experience, bringing House Crux up to 4 for Wealth of Worlds. And then they are going to buy an asset and take an action. All right. So new goal, Wealth of Worlds, spend 12, goal success, 2 XP. All right. And then next up, they are going to buy asset, surveyors on Hyra. Okay. So House Crux, surveyors on Hyra. Okay. That costs 4 credits, I think. Bring you down to 13. Nice. All right. And then they're going to, here we go. Move some stuff around. So they're using their covert shipping on Atasina to move surveyors from Hyra to Gleipnir. Okay. All right. And that's these new ones, right? So perfect. Okay. So surveyors end up on Gleipnir, and that costs 1 faction credit. Yeah, it does. All right. Thank you, House Crux, for your turn. And Crux, I will, the other thing, the triangulum, I'll hook you up. Yeah, cool. All right. So, a couple more. House Pixis. House Pixis has a turn. They're gonna also buy. House Pixis gets how much money? You get 4, which was base 6, but reduced by 2 for your capital fleet. So you start with 10. And then they have a discount from last turn. So they're buying a party machine on Imperial Prime. So we'll get to that. So, okay. Party machine on Imperial Prime. They're using the CB discount from last time when they rolled a 6, which reduces the party machine cost by 4. Cost 4 reduced by commodities broker from turn 15. Okay. Excellent. Yeah, a party machine is like it's the rank and file, right? It's the like the people that answer the phones at the call center. They're the people that get people. They're bureaucrats, right? Imperial court machinery. Yeah, exactly. So they're functionaries. So you make them, they make you money, etc. Turn 150. No, turn 15. Okay. So let's give them that party machine on Prime. Party machine on Imperial Prime. There we go. Very good. Yeah, they're like political parties and blocks that control cities or regions. Like if you have 3 or 4 party machines on one planet, you probably control all the governments of that planet. But if you only have one, you probably control one country of the planet, right? It gives us ideas of like if I go there and one faction has like 2 party machines and one faction has 1, it helps me know what the various political blocks are that operate on that planet. Yeah. If you're the planetary government, they're probably subsets of your own government, right? So like if the faction turn were focused on Canada, then the NDP, the Liberals, and the Conservatives would all be party machines in the Canada faction turn, right? The Democrats and the Republicans would be party machines, and America would be the faction that controls that country, right? So even multiple party machines under a planetary government, but if there's no planetary government and multiple factions own party machines, it's House Triangulum's government and House Fornax's government, for example. So that's kind of how I envision those factions moving. They're a bit nebulous. Their idea is they generate you money. They're really a workhorse aspect, right? Like, yeah, House Pixis. So, okay, in that analogy, House Pixis is probably the NDP. The Democratic mandate would be the Green Party. The Liberals would be House Fornax, and the Conservatives would probably be House Crux, I guess. So anyway, if you're not Canadian, probably none of that made any sense to you, but that's fine. Okay. All right. So that's good. And then I have to make a roll. What's your cunning? House Pixis, your cunning is 5? Your cunning is 5. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's take a look. All right, a 10. I will make a note. They have requested that I keep a secret as to what they are rolling. That's fine. I will just make a note of what we rolled. All right, House Pixis rolled a D10 plus 5, and the result was a 10. All right, I will reach out to you later, and we'll talk about what that means, House Pixis. Then you can pass it along. House Pixis has something that I want to show you. Check it out. We have art of the Emperor. So if I had like a actual trumpet, I guess this is what we're gonna have to. We'll just go with the only brass instrument I have on my soundboard. She's so cool. So this is the Imperial Throne. This is the Imperial Throne, and that is our Emperor. Everybody, that's Verona. Cool, huh? So good. So if that's not already on the wiki, I imagine it is winging its way there soon. Yeah. Go look at it when you get it available to you in full size. Definitely take a closer look, like zoom in. It's very good. So this is our Emperor. All hail. Hurrah. Here, this is appropriate. Cheers to the Emperor. Yeah, and her very, very uncomfortable throne. Cool. All right. Thank you, House Pixis. Carrying right along to House Aquila. House Aquila. The house of Aquila. So Aquila, we were talking about this on the show, right? About animals, because I'm going to pause just for a second because Aquila reminded me of this. So animals in our world have like representations. We think of like a lion as being brave. Right? King Richard the Lion-Hearted, right? We think of it, we have like certain associations, like serpents, the symbol of the snake. To us, we would likely think about the snake in the Garden of Eden, right? But that isn't necessarily the case. Like you'd have a snake, and it would represent like, yeah, the Aeschylus stuff is still true, but it wouldn't have any of that like ominous like serpent thing. Like serpents in Acheron Row are seen as mysterious and wise, and depending on your opinions about serpents, something else. But mostly they're not like sneaky and evil, right? In the same way that we would think of them. Aquila, I think a lot of the eagle, yeah, good stuff that's hard to understand. Yeah, exactly. Aquila's symbol is the eagle, and that really depends on your interest in history, because the eagle, I think Aquila's sigil has about the same amount in common. Like there's a lot of things that we know that we associate with eagles as they would, but there'd be no like bald eagle America stuff. It would be more like the Roman like eagle. Yeah. But also the blood eagle, right? So it would be like, maybe like what context is it in symbolically? Like an eagle on its own, noble sigil. The specific eagle of the blood eagle's family, that's bad. A blood eagle clutching a lightning bolt might be different than an eagle clutching a lightning bolt might be different from an eagle clutching a sword. So like you'd have to be up on your imperial stuff to understand. And the reason this came up, if you haven't watched the last turn, the reason all this came up is because Vanna was like, oh, can I get into one of those swan shaped boats they have out in the lakes, right? I want a swan boat. I want to paddle around in it. And I was like, making a boat in the shape of a swan would not, no, that would be bad. It was really funny. If you haven't watched the episode or you just listened to it, go watch it and find that part. It's near the end of the second part, and watch when I tell Vanna what she has just suggested in the cultural context of the universe. Watch her reaction to it. It's very good. So Aquila, they have a fairly simple turn to perform. Let me give them their income. So how's Aquila? You have 13. You are going to take the Seize Planet action. Okay, there we go. Seize Planet. And they're going to seize using their surveyors on the planet with possibly my favorite name, Liorgioli. Great. What's on Liorgioli? What are you seizing here? Let me get you set up here. I love aioli. So Aquila, seizure, Liorgioli. That's how you spell it, right? It does sound like a pass the dish. Excellent. Good stuff. Aquila. I like all this planet grabbing. It's very useful and will be interesting later when I'll talk about it at the end. I've got some fucking highfalutin ideas. Okay. All right. So that's good. And you have started that action. You are seizing Liorgioli. Let's take a quick look at, I think it's just a TL2 rock, right? There's like not much around it. Where are you? Liorgler. The hell is this planet? Trilia, Nevet, Argiast, 101. Oh, I'm like totally off. Yeah, it's way the fuck over here. Oh, right, because it's Aquila, yeah. Near Echo. Liorgioli, minimal contact, ritual combat, tech level 2. And we talked a little bit. I talked to somebody in between the faction turns about what I see the alien civilization population meaning. I mean, when I see alien on here, it to me means non-human. So Liorgioli, it's tech level 2. It probably has like, God, it's probably, honestly, it's probably a like a reservation planet, which is like gross, but it's probably that. Let me see if we have any lore on it yet. Oh my God, I accidentally clicked a Budweiser ad. Oh, God. Leorgioli. Yeah. So there's no lore yet. So if you do seize it, Aquila, let's talk, because it is almost definitely a planet, a TL2 planet, maybe used to be TL4, maybe not. It is a frozen temperature, breathable planet. Humans can live there safely. And the only people that live there right now are probably aliens who were knocked back into the 19th century. Yeah, we'll talk about it a little bit in the next batch. So anyway, that's that. You start seizing that planet, and I have an MP3 to play. Here we go. Let's make that happen. 1 second.
Vigilance, this is Sealy 2-2. Planetfall complete. Confirm atmospheric conditions. No signs of any abnormalities. How copy, over?
Confirmed, Silly 2-2. Transmitting Phase 2 objectives. Stand by.
Transmission received, Vigilance. Directives confirmed. Proceed into AO. 2-2 out.
Yes, I fucking love that. I love it. The Star Trek beeps, the space sonar. Ugh, so good. Thank you, House Aquila. That was lit as fuck. I love these. Every time a faction representative politely asks me, Adam, would it be okay if you played this MP3 or you played this video at the end of our turn? Every time I'm like, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, I am. Yes. Give it to me. I love them. They're my favorite. So thank you for providing those. Let's carry on to our last faction turn, and then we'll talk about all of the other bullshit that I need to talk about. The Deathless, bringing up the rear. In the rear with the gear, it is the Deathless. So this will be a nice easy one. The Deathless are going to refit. They're going to take the refit action. Let's give them their money first. You do not want to underpay the Deathless. So 6 and 6 is 12, 13, 53 credits. And they get, I feel like Deathless, I should just lock this cell at neutral, because I feel like no matter how good or bad any given group of PCs are, the thing that defines the Deathless fundamentally is their neutrality. They are gray as hell until you pay them, and then they'll be whatever color you want. Yeah. All right. So here's your turn. They're going to refit the post-tech industry on Endophiel to a monopoly, and the cost on that is nothing. So the Deathless refitting their post-tech industry to a monopoly. Where is it? Post-tech industry. There we go. On Endophiel. Monopoly. All right, cool. A wide range of post-tech products out of local resources. That's what they had before. And now, open or tacit stranglehold on vital businesses or resources on a world. Okay, all right. So on Endophiel, the Deathless now control one industry on that planet. I don't know what it is, but the Deathless, I'm sure, have some idea. They've also got a monopoly on Hroa. They have 2 monopolies on Hroa. They control 2 different specific industries on that planet. It could be making vodka. It could be mercenary work. Those are 2 obvious ones. But it could also be, I don't know, whittling. Maybe they have a whittling monopoly. Yeah, or like gentle hugs or scorpion wrangling. Whichever. So the Deathless would like me for you to play this MP3. I think it's a short one. Oh, it was me.
President speaking. Sir, this is the board. Our lease is up.
Excellent. Good. I gotta say, for that one, I've listened to this a couple of times. My favorite bit of that little MP3 is the gentle squeak of the wooden chair after the president answers the phone. I love it. It's just like, it's little details like that little like, the little creak that like, oh, I'm taking this phone call seriously. I'm going to lean back. It was a very nice touch. Good. Cool. Thank you, Deathless. You have refitted and you now have your monopoly on that planet. So let's take a look. I think that's it for everybody for this turn. Thank you for submitting your orders, everybody. I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple of things and reveal some stuff, and then we'll talk about some plans I have maybe for the future, for future bullshit, basically. So first of all, if you've been paying attention, you've watched both House Triangulum and House Crux dig around in the basement of Imperial Corrections Facility Gleipnir. They found something there, and I guess I'm gonna outro my beloved. Will you remind me or help me or just be an awesome friend and do it for me? I'm adding a new asset to the game. So I'm going to add it on this line, and then we can figure out how to make it work for real. So in the basement of Imperial Corrections Facility Gleipnir, House Triangulum, with the help of House Crux, has discovered a new asset. So I have been calling this asset Enhanced Psychic Assassins. So Enhanced Psychic Assassins. That's not the name of the faction. They belong to House Triangulum. So let's go Enhanced Assassins. Okay, there we go. Their cost is NA. You cannot buy them currently. They are, let's see. They are Force assets. They have 6 HP. Their type is Special Forces. Their attack is 2d6 plus 2. Their counter is 2d6. Notes, they have a special ability. They have no special upkeep required. And they currently are... Oh, yeah, we don't have to get to it fast. It's fine. And they're currently on Gleipnir in the service of House Triangulum. They enter stealthed. I'll have this added. I'll have this added to the... Oh, that's right. It's CVC. Yeah. Or no, they're the same as... Let me see. They're the same. They use the same stat block as... Or not stat block, but the same trigger as regular Psychic Assassins. So I think you might be right. Anybody have... Yeah, CVC. That's right. Okay, good. Yeah, sorry. Add that in there. Cunning versus cunning. 2d6. Okay. So they find these assassins. I will leave it up to them to talk a little bit more about what that looks like. The special feature or cost. Let me read this for you, and then I'll add it to the rulings doc. Enhanced Psychic Assassins. This asset enters play with stealth. If the controlling faction begins their turn and the Enhanced Psychic Assassins do not have stealth, they gain the following ability, activated with Use Asset ability. For the cost of 2 fat creds, this asset gains the stealth quality. So there you go. So you, if they don't have stealth, and you're using the Use Asset ability, they have the ability 2 fat creds gives them stealth back. They can re-stealth, basically. So House Triangulum has discovered some Enhanced Psychic Assassins in the basement, and as a result of all that work, I've given them some other lore stuff that they can potentially follow up on. And then they and House Crux both get 2 experience. So they get 6. House Crux goes up to 6. And House Triangulum also goes up to 6. There we go. Okay. Yeah, and then they know forward from here. I've given them some additional follow-up information. I'll let them decide what they make public and what they keep a secret. So that's that. There are 2 new tags being added to Far Verona for any new faction we create. These are new options. So first is Pacifist Enforcers. So Pacifist Enforcers. This is a new tag, and thank you again to the Mechanisms Council for helping me work these out. So any asset or any faction with Pacifist Enforcers The first attack each turn that takes place on a planet that contains this faction's base of influence against any target must roll 2d10 and take the lowest die as the result. So that's the first new tag that we are adding. I'll throw it in chat for ease of reading. So Pacifist Enforcers is getting added to the game, and the Democratic Mandate, of course, will be our Pacifist Enforcers. So that's their tag that they're taking. So there's that. So if you want to fight on a planet that has the Democratic Mandate on it, you're at disadvantage. The first attack each turn is disadvantage for them because they basically don't want war. They rose from a time of war and now they're going to, and they're going to do it. Yeah. So the question from user required was, I'm assuming we can then modify that roll after their tag, like how current advantage works. I imagine that advantage and disadvantage work like D&D, where if you have one and then you add the other, they nullify each other. But yes, you can further modify it with other special abilities like Book of Secrets or whatever, right? This basically just gives disadvantage to the first attack that happens on any planet that has a DM base on it. They become anti-war zones. Cool. And then the other one that we're adding is martial primacy. So martial primacy is another option. Whether anyone decides that it fits for them or not, that's fine. But martial primacy is this faction may upkeep 3 more force assets than their stats would normally allow. So they can have 3 more force assets than normally without taking the hit. So that's going to get added to the dock. Now, my plan with future tags like this is to build them as neutrally as possible. Certainly, some factions have come to me with ideas for their faction, and that's great. I want that. Keep doing that. But they're being added to a greater list so that later, if we create another faction that is pacifistic, I can pull that tag for them, right? So yeah, keep an eye out. I'm going to keep adding more tags as we go. Currently, the Mechanisms Council is working on helping me add in a new action and then at least 1, maybe 2 new units to the game. So we'll talk about those probably next month once they're finished. Those are part of a larger project, which is to say the retirement of the High Church. Now, you've probably seen me flip past this a couple of times. The High Church has assembled with my work. We've put in, like, just personally, just me and them, probably like 3 or 4 hours of just solid like talking and working this stuff out. Basically what's happened, and we talked about this a little bit the last time, the High Church has ascended outside of the game. The realities of the High Church as state religion have become basically like a given in the universe. This is part of permanently changing the lore of the game, but not by much, right? Because the High Church was already the state religion. This is a guide for anyone who is creating lore in Verona, who, whenever you're making this lore, these things are true. So I'll post this. This is basically just a lore guideline. If you have any questions, it's over at the High Church website as well, highchurch.space. It's on the FAQ. If you have any questions, go through your rep as usual about what is or isn't allowed to be written for lore. But essentially, this is the win. This is their reward for ascending. So these are things that are now just a given. I've tried to, and I think the High Church, they shared this with me, this intent. We both had this intent. The goal was to create constraints for creativity and not like flat block off too much. I wanted to respect what they had done, and I want to respect the High Church as being the truth for most people in the universe, but also leave some room. So there are going to be some factions that'll have questions about the detail of this stuff. Please don't feel free to ask. Don't be shy. Come out to me and ask. I'm also going to be putting together a group of people who wrote this document and who, regardless of the factions they're joining after the High Church, will be there to help answer questions for me and for you in terms of what they see as being protected by this stuff. So it's new. This is the first time we've done anything like this. I'm really excited to see what kinds of projects it lends you to create and the changes that it makes to the faction turn and the universe at large. So that document is the end result of a bunch of work from the High Church and from myself. Thank you for your hard work on that, High Church. And then the mechanical aspects of this thing, there's going to be some mechanical changes. As we mentioned last fact turn, they're going to come up in the end of the next faction turn. So we're working on that stuff with the council right now. A couple of other last notes. I've had some questions about tech level 4+ planets. So let's talk about TL4 Plus because it's a bit confusing. Now I wonder if I can organize. Can I organize by tech level? Can I see all the planets? I think I can. Yeah, here we go. All right. So we have several planets in this system. You can't see this because the text is so like ridiculously small. So I'll try to make it a little bigger for you. So we have several TL4 plus planets, right? We've got Aomori, we've got Adesina, we got Eos, Maya, Marquise. Those are all TL4 plus. So in the lore, this means that there is one kind of thing that you can build that is better than TL4, right? You have access to some TL5 stuff. You're kind of in between the two, right? Some of these have already been cleared up, right? Like Maya, right? We're working on what EOS's like TL4 plus tech is. Yeah, Aomori, it's weapons. So outside of the faction turn, tech level 4 plus just means like lore, just stuff you can make up. Inside the faction turn, it may allow you to buy a tech level 5 asset on that planet if it falls under that planet's specialty. So if your faction owns one of these planets and you're curious about what that might mean mechanically for the fact turn, come talk to me. Let me know. We'll add that the general lore stuff to the spreadsheet, but you may have some license to buy stuff that might not otherwise be available to you. So if you're curious about that, come to me. We will work it out. If you're the owner of the planet, and we'll get that settled. Now, lastly, yeah, and those things there'll be a turn in advance, right? That's what we do. So I was ready with pacifist enforcers and martial primacy, and I could have given pacifist enforcers to the democratic mandate well before the turn, but as I promised, we do big changes in patch notes at the end of every turn. So nothing will change mechanically now between now and the next turn, and then things will roll out every end of every turn. So you have at least a full cycle to operate on the base level stuff that we have now. So yeah, I'm still working on individual goal stuff, right? I've got a pretty good base mechanic for how I want goals to work. I've thought a little bit about shared goals. I know basically the core stuff that you can change about like a planet or your own faction or whatever, like tags wise. I'm starting to get a good idea of that. What I'm starting to think about is some kind of cultural win, right? So spreading your ability to influence culture. Yeah, your utopia project, right? So spreading cultural influence based on bases of influence, how many hit points they have, certain assets. So what I'm trying to think about is coming up with a way to essentially have countdown clocks for various planets representing their existing culture, their default culture. So the default imperial culture and then other subcultures that might rise from it. And you can spread certain subcultures and affect the lore of the planets that way. So I'm thinking about how to do that and what I kind of want to look at in terms of that being possible. But yeah, having cultural victory with the base of influence, giving some of the base of influence stuff a little bit more to do. And that is something that I am percolating on. I think probably all of these big changes will happen like Q1 of next year. I think that'll be kind of when we roll this stuff out. But yeah, I'm thinking about kind of how I want that to add another layer to the game. And I definitely think that the idea here would be to assign values to existing planets based on default baseline plus existing bases of influence and assets and like all that stuff, right? And then figuring out conditions for how you would adjust that and what kind of baseline changes happen for each planet, right? Look at how the amount of people on a planet, right? How many people are on the planet, which could affect it. And then probably there would be some other kind of action you could take where your like action would be increase cultural influence. Yeah, where you get to like spend your turn, roll some dice, and add culture points to planets that you are on. Now, I don't know, this might require a whole other level of infrastructure under the faction turn, but I definitely want to start working on that as a thing. So if you have ideas, please feel free to reach out through your mech council rep after we're done with the current project, right? So once this current project is done, then we're going to start figuring out those other things. I don't really know what they look like. Like, would cunning have a more pronounced effect? I don't know. Like, I don't want it to overlap too much with the current faction turn cunning stuff. I think probably it's just how many people you have on the planet and what it does. So yeah. So I see some concern, right, from like somebody in the chat being like, well, I don't want this to undercut the mechanical abilities that a TL5 planet has. They're going to be very, very limited, right? It's not like all of a sudden Aomori can produce any tech level 5 force asset. No, not even remotely, right? It's going to be a subset of a subset of assets, right? And yeah, part of if I'm bringing up as an additional side is if I'm bringing up the cultural or wealth like influence thing, then I need to be able to also bring up like force as a thing. So we're working on it. We're thinking about what that could be. So yeah. I think more options for faction turn actions are good because they give you harder choices to make. Yeah. So there you go. Cool. Okay. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm working on a bunch of little things. Obviously the goals system is coming along. My hope, I think if I had to look at all of the other work I have going on and like what else is going on and how much time I can dedicate to this stuff, I think probably October is kind of a write-off in the sense that I have a big unannounced writing project that I can't really talk about yet. That's going to suck up a lot of my time. So I've got to set aside some of the Verona mechanics work, but November, I will be out of that project. That project, my due date is the beginning of November. So November, I will probably put together a beta version put together for November, like end of November. And if we do what we did last year and we don't have a faction turn in December, all of that time in December will be free to Mechanisms Council. I'd love to come in Jan 1 and start quarter 1 of the faction turn with the new goals systems in play. That's sort of where I'm at in terms of like updating this stuff. I'll talk a little bit more about kind of when we can expect that stuff ongoing. I'd be interested in meeting. How about this? If you're listening to this and you're a faction rep that owns a TL4+ planet, let's figure out what your like one asset or whatever you can build might be on that planet, if such a thing exists, right? Remember, the TL4+ may reflect other things. I had this conversation with the Democratic Mandate. For them, it's not going to be about building a TL5 asset. It's going to be about TL5 social protocols that we'll talk about in the future, and I'll be keeping that kind of stuff in mind for the sort of culture spread as we go. So anyhow, that's kind of where I'm at. If I had more time, I could dedicate it to fully rehauling a bunch of stuff about this, but it's very hard to run the game and do all this other stuff and like have this beta. I'm pretty comfortable with the pace at which things are updating. I know it can feel like kind of slow, but right now, talk about a thing, play a month as normal, illustrate a new change, roll into that change in the next month. I think it's been working great for the last few months. I think that's probably where we're going to stay. But I'm always listening to suggestions. So thank you, everybody, for coming and for watching the stream and for participating in the faction turn. And big ups to, as always, the mods, the reps, the Mechanism Council, and every single person who made even a single line of new lore for Verona this month. As a game master and as controller of this whole weird mess, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And thank you for coming. We will see you next month. At the end of October, I will probably be kind of a stressed out nut job. because of the deadline I have for November, but I know that you will go easy on me. Thank you for coming, everybody. I have been your Space Master. I will see you next time. Bye.